Hello, everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Qalbumaryam is bringing you today's Khutbah on Lady Zaynab, and the first Khutbah given by a woman that is actually recorded, that you can go and you can read it in its entirety. Now, Lady Zaynab was the daughter of Ali and Fatima. Fatima being the daughter of the Prophet. Now, so how does the story begin? Excuse me, I'm kind of grooming myself as I'm talking. How does the story begin? Apparently, Hussein decides to go to Kufa, where the people there have agreed to accept him as their leader. Or I should say the Muslims in Kufa decided to accept him as their leader. In time, he marshaled his troops, his army, his family, his followers, and he went to Kufa based upon this agreement with the people there that he would be their leader. Little did he know that they changed their minds, that they would not join his army. And this has to be a big disappointment in and of itself. Can you imagine what it takes to bring an army together, to uproot your family, your friends, and all the people that follow you and move them to another place based on an agreement someone has made with you? Well, this had to have been disappointing in the first place. But what was to come in Karbala was much more disappointing. Yazid's army murdered Hussein in the fields of Karbala. Many others were murdered as well. The family of Hussein was taken captive. Those who survived were taken captive and marched into Damascus by Yazid's army. As the family was marched into Damascus, people lined the streets to debase them, to throw garbage, stones, whatever they could. The women were unveiled because in those days, if you were a Muslim woman of a rank, okay, let's be clear about this, a ranking Muslim woman, you veiled. We see this down through history, and I'm making a slight segue here. We see this down through history where veiling was reserved for women of stature and rank. The common woman did not veil. Okay, segueing back. So here we have Hussein's family, Lady Zaynab, the granddaughter of the Prophet. She has garbage on her, spit. They have thrown everything they can get their hands on, rocks. They've debased her in every way possible and every survivor. They are marched into Yazid's chambers, where the severed heads of her family have been taken, principally the severed head of Hussein. Yazid, you know, he fits the mold of almost every villain in every movie I've ever seen. And he apparently took a stick, and as the visage, the heads, were being displayed to him, and he's being told who this head belongs to, and this head belongs to this person, he takes the stick and he jabs at the head of Hussein. Now, mind you, Zaynab is watching. She's watching. Those surviving family members are watching, both men and women. Men and women survivors are watching Zaynab and watching Yazid. It's at this moment that Lady Zaynab gives the very first recorded khutbah given by a woman in the presence of men, without the permission of men. She is moved by what she sees. She's broken. Her heart is broken. She's seen her family massacred. She's been humiliated. What moves in her is what I would call the Spirit of God. I think we've all been in situations where we don't have the words, where perhaps somebody we love died or something happened that shook us to our core and we had no words. Maybe you were asked to speak and you were not, like, I have nothing prepared, you know. She prepared nothing. She wasn't walking through the streets of Damascus with a pen and paper going, when I get in Yazid's chamber, this is what I'm going to say. She had none of that. So it was the Holy Spirit of God that moved inside this woman, this precious woman, and gave her the words for her first khutbah sermon. If you read the sermon, khutbah, you will see that it's comprehensive. It flows. Its prose is beautiful. And she takes Yazid to task expertly, beautifully, and mind you, with no preparation. When you are inspired by God and events to speak from your core, to speak from your heart, to bring it out, to say it, it's going to be eloquent. It's going to be powerful. Because this is what these moments are for. It is not about gender. It is not about anything except, can you be a vessel for God, the Most High and Holy, to move through? Apparently she was. At that very moment, all of her experiences from the time they left, marched to Kufa, the fields of Karbala, God was preparing Zaynab for that role, for those moments. The Holy Spirit moved in her and gave her the courage to say those things that she needed to say. It's a powerful moment when all else fails and it seems like there's nothing. We have no dignity left. They've stripped us of everything. Everything is gone. That this woman was able to step up. Even when Yazid was like, who is this woman talking, this woman? Who is this? It's like, what nerve she has to use her voice in my presence. In reality, God is not prejudiced. God will use whatever tool, voice, eyes, ears, hands that he can for those moments when they're needed. There's a story, and I believe it's the Torah. Don't quote me on that. Where a man has a donkey, and God makes the donkey talk because the man refused to do what he was told to do by God. So God was like, okay, if you won't do what I tell you to do, I'm going to make this donkey talk. Okay, the Bible, holy books, are full of illustrations about how God uses every single thing to wake us up and to get us to think. In the case of Jonah, he sent a whale. Jonah didn't want to do what he was told. He didn't want to accept the mantle of being a tool and an instrument of God. He was being disobedient. God said, okay, Jonah, I have my ways of waking people up. So he was swallowed by a whale. And to add insult to injury, he was vomited up on the shores, and suddenly he became more obedient. Listen, the most important things is be obedient. When you're called, it has nothing to do with your gender. It has nothing to do with your race. It has nothing to do with where you were born, your nationality, or your sex. God uses every resource on the planet to get the word out, to get us to wake up, to get us to treat each other with respect, to get us to take care of those who have less. If those things cannot be accepted coming from a woman, why are they accepted coming from a man? We are equal. God created vocal cords equal, brains equal. Our spirits are equally able to absorb and accept the messages of God, God's inspiration into our spirit, what motivates us and moves us and gets us to do those things we have to do. In the case of Lady Zaynab, you should look upon this as an example of the first recorded khutbah given by a woman. Now, some will say, well, wasn't there Waraka? Well, yeah, but her khutbah wasn't recorded. In fact, it said she led prayer. It didn't say she gave the khutbah. So maybe Waraka was the first woman to lead prayer. Zaynab has the first recorded khutbah, or sermon, if you will. We have to remember that God is not us. God does not have limitations. God does not have prejudices or fears. God is not bound by culture, and that God moves in powerful and mysterious ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this khutbah for today, and many blessings to everyone who listens. May we get through this additional sheltering in place that we have to undergo this weekend, where we have to go back into our homes, shut the doors, and be patient with the process. We are saving lives by staying at home. Take care.